set?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. I am meeting with Janet Dyer at Warner Park Community Recreational Center. Janet, on a typical day in this position, what do you do?
Okay. So my official title is Supervisor of Community Programs for Madison School and Community Recreation. So part of my job is to coordinate all of the recreation programs here at the Warner Park Center. Everything from parent-child art classes up to senior fitness classes. So a part of what I do on a daily basis is respond to questions or concerns or troubleshoot staff or instructor issues. We always seem to be planning for the next session of classes, so I'll be confirming schedules with people, interviewing staff, new staff for positions. I have to manage all of our ordering of supplies and equipment, and so I might be doing that in a typical day. I might have interviews to hire new staff. I may be working with a community partner to coordinate some programming together. Like, for instance, we've done adult fitness classes at the Kennedy Heights Community Center, so I would, coordinate with their staff to get that off the ground. The other part of my job is to oversee MSCR programs or facilities, the Allied Learning Center and the Meadowwood Neighborhood Center, which is relatively new. So I supervise the staff that work at those sites, coordinate all of their budgets, and responsible for grants that they may have. So I may be writing a grant or reporting on grants, helping them hire staff. And then I also oversee all of MSCR youth and adult arts and enrichment. Although I have two staff that coordinate those programs, I supervise them as well. So I meet frequently with the staff that I supervise, both here at Warner Park and out in the field. Also in my position, I have to attend a lot of meetings, which is not the funnest part of the job, but it goes with the territory.
Right. How many hours a week do you work?
Well, you have to put in the, we're officially we work 40 hours a week, but there are times when you need to work beyond that. For instance, if we have an event in the evenings, I'll want to be at that event, to provide assistance and supervision. So, I don't know, a typical week, throughout the year, probably between 40 and 50 hours a week.
Would you say it's pretty flexible, though, if you need flexibility? Is it pretty flexible? Yeah,
certainly. I have a regular work schedule, which is for me because I like to be here later in the day because we have a lot of programs in the afternoon and evenings. Typically my work hours are 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. But say if I have to work on a Saturday, if we have a program or event going on, and I can adjust my time to come in a little bit later on Monday or something like that. So there is flexibility with it. But basically, you have to make sure everything is covered, and if people have to call me at home and I need to come in when I'm not scheduled to come in, then you do that. I think that's in general how it is when you're doing recreation programming or community programming in general.
Right. What training or education is required for this type of work?
Yeah. So for my position, when I was hired, you had to have a minimum of a bachelor's degree. And my bachelor's degree is in recreation resources management, and I also have a master's degree in recreation as well. But I think typically for an administrative position, more and more I think they're requiring a master's degree.
Okay. What personal qualities or abilities are important to being successful on this job?
I think you have to be flexible. You have to like working with people. You have to have the ability to work with people from all walks of life, and open to working with people in all walks of life. I think you have to be organized. You have to, understand how to develop and administer, budgets. which is a big part of, what I have to do is monitor our budgets. I think you have to be compassionate. I think you have to have a desire to work with people. Yeah.
Okay, what part of this job do you find the most satisfying?
It's definitely working with people. And although I don't get to work with participants, on a regular basis, because I'm at a site where I have programming, I do get to see and interact with participants some. But the most satisfying part of my job is working with staff that I hired. And then in particular for me, when I've worked with staff that have progressed through the system and got promoted to higher level and full-time positions, that's been the most satisfying for me to watch that happen.
What is the most challenging part?
This seems a little bit typical, but it's definitely funding. You know, we're, as a part of the school district, we are fortunate enough to have a tax levy that we work with, but we're also have a need to raise revenue through participant fees. And so along with that is also making sure that we're working within our budgets, but that we're not turning people away, that we're serving everybody. So, working with families who can't afford to pay for programming, working with individuals who want to take a fitness class that may not be able to pay the whole fees. And I think that at MSCR we have a system in place so that we're not turning people away. So, if we had unlimited funds, it wouldn't be a problem, but I think you have to be a little bit more creative when your budgets can be restricted, which ours has been for the previous 4 or 5 years. Our budget has been frozen, so we've been asked to do more, with the same amount of money, and so you have to be creative in how you do programming, apply for more grants and things like that.
Okay. What are the salary ranges for the various levels in this field?
Okay, so for full-time positions, MSCR has quite a range. So, and I'm just talking about programming staff. I'm not talking about clerical positions and so forth, because we have a lot of those, and I'm not familiar with their, union positions and their pay rates. But so we have non-union professionals. And those positions start at about $16 an hour and include benefits. And then we have specialist positions, and those positions are supervisory positions, and I don't know the exact numbers, but I think the pay range is probably, it's a salaried position, so probably mid $30,000 range, up to, maybe $50,000 if someone's been in a job quite a long time. And then we also have administrative positions, which are, a bit higher than those specialist positions.
Okay. Sorry. How do you see jobs in this field changing in the future?
I think at MSCR in particular, we're doing more programming in schools and collaborating with schools and providing more academic support, and really trying to make use of that out of school time when kids may not have someone to help them with their homework, or to make sure that they're getting extra time in for reading and so forth. So I think a lot of what we've done over the past 10 or 15 years has been doing more programming in collaboration with schools to provide academic support.
Okay. I have seen a lot, the wellness program for the elders has really increased a lot here.
Absolutely. That's probably another area that we've really grown. We have fitness programs for adults 50 and older, and then we also now, which is relatively new too, have a very extensive adult fitness program and more family fitness. So I think the whole wellness and family engagement components have come into play with our department. We do a lot more fitness programming for all ages than we have in the past.
Okay. What special advice would you give a person entering this field?
I think just be willing to learn as much as you can, work in as many entry-level positions, part-time positions as you can, and I think with the more experience someone can gain, the more opportunities that they're going to be prepared for. And so I think just taking advantage of those opportunities to work part-time in this field while you're in school, to work in the summertime if you're not in school, and really be willing to put in the work and bring your ideas to any position that you have in this field, and be creative and be willing to go the extra mile.
Okay. What do you think of the experience? Well, let's say from your perspective, what are the problems you see working in this field?
I think in most fields where you're working, in community-based programming, you have to be willing to wear a lot of hats. And it's not necessarily a problem, but there's a lot that's asked of you. You have to work with other agencies. You have to make sure the participants' needs are being met. You have to make sure that you're hiring quality staff and you're providing training for that staff. So there are a lot of challenges. You have to know about HR. You have to know about budgeting. So you have to be willing to do a lot of different things.
Okay. If there was anything that you would change or you could do over again, would you take the same path?
For me personally, I've been really fortunate because I've been able to do different things with MSCR, from working with, in adult sports programs to working with after-school programs. And so I think that if you're willing to take the initiative, there's a lot you can do. And I'm sure there are probably things that we all will do differently in our professional lives, but I think mainly, I've been able to take advantage of a lot of different opportunities. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to add to tell any of the kids, the college students that are going into this field or going to school now for this? Or
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it was just, take advantage of all of the opportunities, whether it's an internship, if you have an opportunity to do some volunteer work in the field, take advantage of all of that, because it does, we really look at that when we're hiring staff to see how much experience they have, and it's not necessarily always paid experience. So yeah, just be willing to get out there and get a feel for the different areas, that you want to work in. Like when I started, adult sports or sports in general was what I really wanted to do. And then once I got in my job and saw that there were so many other opportunities, like working in school-based programs and working in community programs like the Warner Park Center and collaborating with other agencies, find out where your niche is. If it's in sports, volunteer or work in sports programs, So yeah, just get as much experience as you can.
Okay. Well, thank you for meeting with me.
You bet.
And that's it.
Okay, thanks, Tina.